The profound discussion surrounding Canada's potential entry into the BRICS economic bloc has intensified dramatically and with considerable urgency, driven by the profound and ongoing deterioration of its critical trade relationship with the United States. Welcome viewers to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. This deeply challenging situation is a direct and undeniable result of the policy decisions made by President Donald Trump, which include the imposition of a significant 35% tariff on Canadian imports. These actions have not only created a pervasive climate of economic uncertainty, but have also fundamentally challenged the long-held and deeply ingrained assumption that the Canada-U.S. partnership is an unshakable cornerstone of Canada's economic stability and prosperity. The core message is that Canada can no longer take its closest and historically most reliable neighbor for granted, and this new, volatile reality is compelling a critical and comprehensive reevaluation of its entire foreign policy and economic strategy. The foundation of Canada's economy is now seen as being on a far less stable footing than previously believed. The unmistakable realities of Canada's economic vulnerability. The article underscores the very real and immediate economic consequences of these tariffs on Canada, painting a stark picture of national vulnerability. Key industries, which are vital to the country's economic health, are already feeling the pain in tangible ways. This is evidenced by major corporations like General Motors and Algoma Steel initiating significant production cuts and, as a direct result, implementing widespread layoffs. These are not isolated incidents, but rather alarming and widespread symptoms of a broader national vulnerability to American protectionism. The tariffs, as the article meticulously explains, are specifically targeting crucial, high-value sectors of the Canadian economy, creating a powerful and undeniable argument that the country can no longer afford to place its entire economic future in the hands of a single, increasingly unpredictable, and politically motivated trading partner. A growing consensus is building among policymakers and the public alike that Canada's economic well-being is simply too precarious under the current arrangement, forcing a critical and urgent reevaluation of its trade and foreign policy. This has instigated a passionate national debate on whether Canada should continue its traditional alignment with the U.S. or make a bold, strategic, and possibly historic pivot to safeguard its long-term interests. The nation's economic security is no longer guaranteed by proximity or historical ties alone. It must now be actively and intentionally sought through strategic diversification and the cultivation of new, powerful alliances. The compelling and multifaceted strategic appeal of BRICS. The case for Canada to seriously consider BRICS membership is built upon a number of compelling and multifaceted arguments that resonate deeply with the current geopolitical climate. A central theme is the pursuit of genuine economic independence from the United States. The article quotes former Green Party candidate Vince Fiorito, who persuasively argues that aligning with the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, would be a crucial and necessary step toward insulating Canada from the full weight of American economic and political pressure. This viewpoint suggests that Canada's over-reliance on the U.S. has evolved from a matter of simple geographic convenience into a significant and potentially catastrophic liability. By strategically diversifying its trade relationships and actively integrating with a new and powerful economic bloc, Canada could gain more autonomy and significantly increase its control over its own economic future, thereby reducing its susceptibility to the political whims and policy shifts emanating from Washington. This isn't just about finding new markets. It's about reclaiming sovereign economic control and forging a new path for the nation. Furthermore, the growing scale and influence of the BRICS bloc are key factors that make it a highly attractive option for a country like Canada. The article highlights that with its recent expansion, BRICS is no longer just a collection of emerging markets, but a truly formidable and unified economic force, now representing a significant portion of the world's population and global GDP. This makes it an increasingly credible and powerful alternative to the existing Western-led institutions that have historically dominated the global order. The recent admission of Indonesia is cited as a particularly important precedent, as it demonstrates BRICS' openness to including a wide array of nations seeking viable alternatives to a unipolar, Western-dominated global order. This event makes the prospect of Canada joining seem less radical and more like a viable, pragmatic, and entirely sensible strategic option for a nation seeking to protect its interests. It frames BRICS not as an adversary, but as a powerful, non-Western alternative that can offer stability and new opportunities. Adding to the pragmatic case for membership is the compelling economic analysis provided by former CIBC economist Jeff Rubin. His powerful assertion that economic necessity will prevail serves as a central and unifying thesis of the article. Rubin argues that the world is no longer functioning as a single, unified market, but is instead fragmenting into distinct and often competing trading blocs organized around geopolitical alliances. In this new and complex global reality, Canada's decisions must be guided by practical financial and economic considerations rather than by historical or sentimental ties alone. He implies that choosing to align with BRICS would be a rational, logical, and entirely necessary move for Canada in an era of increasing global polarization, a move dictated by the cold and undeniable logic of economics and self-interest. Public sentiment, geopolitical realignments, and a new path forward. The article also places significant emphasis on the strong public and political support for a strategic shift away from the United States. It cites a comprehensive poll showing that a large and overwhelming majority of Canadians, 91% to be exact, want to actively decrease their country's economic reliance on the U.S. This widespread public sentiment provides the crucial political space and mandate for the Canadian government to explore new, non-traditional alliances without fear of public backlash. The fact that Mexico is also reportedly showing considerable interest in BRICS suggests that this frustration with U.S. trade policies is a widespread sentiment across North America, which could potentially lead to a broader, regional realignment of power and trade that would fundamentally alter the geopolitical landscape. In a more strategic and instructive sense, the article uses Russia's experience as a powerful and relevant case study. It details how Russia, in the face of crippling Western sanctions and isolationist policies, successfully and quickly pivoted its trade to BRICS markets, particularly for energy exports with China and India. This serves as a practical, real-world example for Canada, demonstrating that a nation can find new economic opportunities and build resilience even when its traditional partnerships falter. This is no longer a theoretical exercise, but a proven path to economic survival and, indeed, prosperity. Finally, the article thoughtfully addresses a key ideological concern that might hinder Canada's decision: the perception that BRICS might be an anti-Western organization. It counters this by citing a nuanced analysis that characterizes BRICS as a non-Western entity. This crucial distinction suggests that the bloc is not necessarily hostile to Western values, but rather offers a platform for a more balanced, multipolar, and equitable global order. This nuanced framing could make the idea of joining more palatable to a democratic nation like Canada, framing the move not as a betrayal of its values, but as a pragmatic and necessary adjustment to a new world order. The article concludes by asserting with conviction that Canada's potential membership in BRICS would represent a historic and seismic shift, marking a definitive move away from American economic dominance and into a new era of global alignment and strategic autonomy. It would be a monumental decision with far-reaching and transformative implications for the country's future and its role on the world stage.